Good morning, channel friends. Hello. Today we're going to show you how we give these two bedside tables a younger look. They have a beautiful appearance, they're handy with drawers, perfect and very solid structurally as well. There are no wood wormholes, the veneer is flawless. Two lovely bedside tables, but they're a bit dated, a bit dark. We're using the new stencil.
I can't remember if it's Fiori di Campo or Protettivo. I was expecting that.
I was waiting. I did this.
But I'm pretty sure it's Fiori di Campo. The stencil is Fiori di Campo.
Well done, Emma. Why? Because we want to make it much lighter and fresher, but also more modern. We'll create a perfect color palette for our beautiful flowers because they're natural wildflowers. Shall we start? Let's start. Obviously, I've already done arbar on these bedside tables. What's arbar? Hot water, baking soda, and ammonia. We've washed these bedside tables thoroughly because, over the years, a film builds up from the face cream we use, the hand cream we apply, which is oily. Don't use other surfactants or alcohol on these surfaces because it's really harmful. Why is that? Many restorers use alcohol before painting. Well, alcohol is not a surfactant. Alcohol is a disinfectant. It doesn't remove the greasy barrier. Hot water, baking soda, and ammonia remove the greasy barrier, and above all, they don't damage the surface. Let's say in a few years you get bored and want to restore these bedside tables as they are now. You like them mahogany. So what do? In the meantime, alcohol has stained and permanently damaged the surface because alcohol often deteriorates paint, so a good wash with arbar. We clean the surface and make it slightly matte, perfect for ensuring all paints adhere well. To give these bedside tables a more modern look, I'll actually antique them. Well, not quite, but I'll darken them. How? With a nice coat of Nuit Parisienne, which is a very elegant black, not a deep black, but one that shifts towards brown and green. We need this because it gives us a very relaxing background, so we can then work on different kinds of color and tone. I'm using the Elizabeth, which is a wonderful brush because its bristles taper at the end. They are firm, and it's great for both painting and applying protective coatings. It really helps to spread the paint evenly and precisely, even on smooth and glossy surfaces like this one. You don't choose a brush just based on whether it looks nice or not, or whether it's soft or stiff. No. You also need to choose your brush based on the surface. For a smooth and glossy surface, a brush like the Elizabeth is ideal. I load the brush well by using circular motions, then gently wipe the sides, keeping the paint inside the brush. That's sometimes why brushes are thick and stiff. Don't buy a €2 brush, buy the right brush. I start painting from the center and work my way outwards. I press down. I apply pressure. When I paint, I need to use a bit of pressure. I do my edge and, above all, I make sure not to create drips. Drips are always the absolute enemy when painting. I carefully spread out towards the sides and make sure the paint sticks really well and adheres properly. And then I meticulously finish off the very edge and smooth out the paint because you should not see any visible marks. Today I want to make a very precise brush stroke because a precise brush stroke helps the flowers stand out. I'm not working with texture. I'm not blending tones into the base, but focusing on precision. At the end, I smooth the paint out in this direction. Always remember, when you see flaws at the end and think they are caused by the protective coating, you're very much mistaken. It's always the first and second coats, applied poorly and carelessly, that reveal any defects. And there you go. I check that there are no drips. And that's it. This is the method for applying paint properly. Now, if you look at it under the light, you'll see even smooth streaks that create a lovely grain effect. It's not bad to see brush strokes. What's bad is seeing poorly done brush strokes. Always remember one thing. On bedside tables, you need to paint the front panel of the drawers. Don't go painting all the sides. That's not how it's done. You put masking tape on like this. It should end where the front panel ends. Here. We only paint this part. Why do we paint this part? And it's absolutely essential. Always to paint this part. Because when you close it, if you haven't painted this bit here, the little edge here, you'll see it. It's essential to paint it, because otherwise, when you close the drawer, you'll see that inner edge. So if you want to make your job easier and keep things nice, neat, and tidy, use masking tape, even on the inside part. Make sure the tape sticks well both to the bottom and the sides, and when you paint, you'll get a nice sharp black edge. I'm also painting the iron handles because this style really doesn't suit what I want to create with this bedside table. The first coat is nice and dry, deep down. Remember, there's really no limit. What you usually hear and read on paint cans is actually wrong. Why is that? Because drying time changes depending on season, humidity, whether it rains or not, whether it's summer or winter. So you need to think about it. Put your hand on the surface and feel if it's warm. So don't think it's magic paint that works this way. All paints need to be judged like this. Apply the second coat when the first one is dry. In summer, it might take moments, 15 minutes if you put the furniture in the sun, but during winter, it takes longer. I use the same brush as before to apply the second coat, always undiluted. I only ever dilute when it's too hot and the paint doesn't flow. Otherwise, there's no need to dilute. Just like before, a nice, smooth brush stroke. If it helps, I can also use a crossed brush stroke like this. First vertically to go against the grain and properly fill in any remaining spaces that still need it, just like this, but then immediately I proceed and smooth everything out. This way, I'll have a perfectly smooth, beautifully velvety brush stroke here as well. On bedside tables this glossy, it's actually wrong to dilute the paint, okay? So unless it's 50 degrees and you can't spread the paint, always use undiluted paint on such glossy surfaces. And remember, use the right brush and hold it by the ferrule. I take a low adhesive masking tape, which you can also find from our retailer on the website elisa&MagicPaint.com, and I'm going to mark out the base. Here we'll apply a green that will be the base for our flower meadow. I already have a marked line here at this point because the piece of furniture is divided in two, so I already have the perfect spot to stick my masking tape. Since it's a weaker masking tape, you don't risk it pulling off the paint underneath. I continue all around the perimeter. You already know the trick I've taught you many times for making perfect lines. Go over the masking tape with a bit of the color you've already used for the base. If the base is white, you go over the masking tape with the same white. If the base is made with Nuit Parisienne, I apply the same color. This way, when we go to remove the tape, we won't have any smudges and there will be a clean line. With royal green, I am able to create the very base of the beautiful flower meadow. Here you go. Let's see if I was precise. The flower meadow is perfect. Let's continue with the stencil. And voila! We give you an easier way to make a flower meadow using just one color. Obviously, since there was a lot more grass, we used the color we already chose for the base, so royal green. Now we'll do the entire stencil with royal green. Then we'll choose a color palette we like to touch up all the flowers and their corollas by hand with a brush. This way, we'll still use colors, it'll still be colorful, and it'll almost look handmade, hand-painted, because of the hand touch-ups. So it won't be perfectly precise, but it will take us less time to do the stencil. With the stencil brush well loaded, I dab off the excess and then tap. Be careful, make sure to be precise and not smudge, because any color on black shows up immediately. When doing a stencil like this on a black base, it's highly recommended to go over it twice with the color. So now we'll do a first coat all over the stencil, then quickly dry it with the hairdryer and do a second coat. This way, the color will be even more defined. If you want to do this as well when your brush is almost dry, you can. But be careful, because if there's too much color, it will seep under the stencil and smudge. Let's just see if we've been very precise. Well, beautiful. Now let's carry on. We'll do all the sides and then, once the stencil is dry, we'll touch up with the paint. Let's start with the flowery meadow. I chose clear sand, Profumo Deorient and beautiful. What about you?
I've chosen Cherì and Serendipity.
We'll do different flowers. I'll do mine and Emma will do hers, so we don't get in each other's way. This time we're doing something a bit different. We've got a little tray where we separate the colors. If you don't have one, small bottle caps or whatever you like will do, and a drop of water to dilute if needed. And let's carry on creating our flowery meadow. Look. Do you like it? Lovely. On to the next side. It's time for the protective coating. I have to be honest, I really like it. But since these bedside tables aren't for me, I'll be putting them in my shop. I want to give them a finish that will suit all environment. If meant for a bedroom, I'd use Legendaria or jasmine wax. But since I don't know where they'll end up, perhaps in a living room or entrance hall, it's better to protect them with a protective coating, so they'll be perfect even if cleaned repeatedly. I've chosen a matte protective coating because it won't be visible. I want this restyling to be pure, natural. It should look like it's been painted, but not protected. I don't want a glossy or satin finish, so I'm using the Elizabeth brush, the same I used to paint. I'm applying matte protective coating everywhere. Don't worry at all if it looks somewhat whitish, and of course we've got a black surface, because once it's applied and completely dries, you absolutely won't be able to see it anymore. Now I'll finish protecting them, let them dry properly, and then I'll show you how they look in their setting. This restyling is finished. Well, I really love it. I can't talk without the microphone. I like it. Anyway, you have to include this bit, you know it. This restyling is finished too. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'll say it again. This restyling is also finished. So, I really like them. This stencil is beautiful and you've loved it ever since we launched it. It has been used many times. But Emma and I wanted to give you our personal reinterpretation. It might have been a bit easier to dab on lots of different colors to make the flowers, but we wanted to show you how easy it is to touch up with a brush as well. Sometimes people think that painting freehand is a bit tricky, but as you can see, when there's already a base, going in with colors and having fun blending them is not difficult at all. I really love the combination with black as well, because it's not obvious. If we'd done a white base, in my opinion, it would have been a bit too romantic. But with black, like Nuit Parisienne, it's a bit edgier. Let us know in the comments if you liked it. If you like this style, we'll do more. We've got loads of stencils to show you. Also, remember something very important. MagicPaint isn't available on Amazon, but you can find it on the website elisa&MagicPaint.com and from authorized retailers, who you can find only and exclusively on the site magicpaint.it, listed by region. Everything else is just an imitation. Goodbye.